You are listening to the Parkflyer podcast, where we discuss our RC adventures.
Welcome to the Parkflyer podcast, where we discuss the ups and downs of the new RC Flyer. Join your hosts, Michael and Jay, as they take flight at the park. Now on with the show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Parkflyer podcast. I'm Michael from Arizona. With me always are my good friends
Jay from the hills of Texas.
And AK Mike in Texas.
And before we get started with tonight's show, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors. We actually got a jingle suggestion.
Feeling weak and powerless? Sounds to me like you need A-Power batteries. When someone needs the best, they always choose the A-Team. A-Power batteries. Get on the web and get yours today.
A-Power batteries. If you want reliability and power, give Jason a call over there. Use our Parkflyer podcast code, PFPC10, and tell them that we sent you. Also, 3D Aero Adventures.
3D
is also
Aero
a sponsor.
Adventure. Oops, sorry.
There you go. And anyway, if you would like a beautiful 3D printed aircraft, head over to 3D Aero Ventures, download one of their tests, and see if you can 3D print it on your printer, and download a plan. Use Parkflyer as your code, and give them a shout. Tell them we sent you over. So I will tell you that thanks to Nick Turner, he jumped out and sent us a voice message on our phone number, 830-444-4943. Gave us a heads up on the A-Power jingle. So if you have something that you think will work, give us a buzz and let us know. We appreciate
Mike, don't
it.
forget about Susie, how she reached out to us
Yes.
and told us about our car warranty.
That is true. Susie did reach out to us. She's in the vehicle department and gave us a couple of options on our warranties of our vehicles, so we appreciate her.
So we bought one of those right away because we didn't want to expire.
We did. We told her to call us back at any other convenient time.
Our number's getting popular.
And,
I like that.
It is getting popular. Steve
and
actually.
what's that number again, Mike?
The number's 830-444-4943. Shout out to Steve as well. Steve actually reached out to us and said he was on the Hadron. He was doing the 4S or the No S. I think the last time we had the podcast, we were talking about that. But anyway, he said that he's finally got it figured out. So we congratulate Steve. He is headed down to the NEAT Fair, or headed up to the NEAT Fair, I guess, and it's in upstate New York. And we are looking forward, I think, when he gets back to have him on the podcast. So
That's neat.
yeah, so I'm interested to hear how that went, and especially in this particular. What?
Mike didn't get the joke.
Oh, sorry.
That's neat. He's going to neat.
Yeah, I got it. It's going neat. That's neat.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. Anyway.
Yeah, we have to add a rim shot somewhere.
Yes, we do have to do that. I think we've got enough of those, but Jay can figure that out. Well, we also have to thank Jay for filling in his 5 minutes of fame. He kind of got left stranded. Just really quick, what happened is I obviously fly for a living, and I was overseas in Korea. We were headed out for us to be home, and encountered a lightning strike on the airplane. So we had to actually do an air turn back and head back to where we just came from. And due to the fact that we're in a foreign country, that was quite the experience, because they released us. Go, fly, be free, go to the next place. And then we turned around and came back, and they're like, whoa, where did you guys
We've never
come
seen
from?
you before in our lives. Who are you? Where'd that plane
You would
come
have
from?
thought that. Yeah, so we had to go through customs once, and then we had to sit around for an hour, waiting for them to dig up paperwork on why we just dropped out of the sky onto these guys, and then we had to go to another area and some other guy.
I mean, it's pretty obvious that you took that lightning strike on purpose.
Yes, we
anybody
specifically
who knows
looked for
anything
it.
would know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The good news is, it didn't really hinder us, other than the fact that anytime you get a lightning strike in a large aircraft like that, it can affect systems. So rather than continue on, we talked to our company, and they said, yeah, we needed to go back and have it looked
Well,
at. So,
as you were smelling burned rubber, you were like, I wonder.
burnt fiberglass.
Should we just keep flying? It's good.
You are correct. I will tell you that
I'm
in my
sure the
30-year
wires
career,
are fine.
Yes, they are.
I smell like somebody's let the blue smoke
the
out.
wires are fine.
I mean, when I fly my airplanes and they smell funny, I still fly them.
That's right.
You just keep flying. Yeah. Well,
Why not?
So luckily the magic smoke did not dissipate within your airplane and you were able to get back. I mean, that whole conversation just sounded so much so air like. Oh yes, I encountered an a lightning storm and had an electrical discharge strike our plane. So we turned around and came right back. As opposed to, I saw the whole thing. I was flying the plane. There was a flashlight. There was a loud noise. I couldn't hear nothing. And I was deafened by the sound of the thunder.
And I said, I'm coming, Elizabeth.
and I said expletive. And then I kind of had to clean my short. But luckily, it depends when I fly.
That out.
Man.
Oh, my gosh.
You were lousy telling the story.
See what I have to deal with? Well, unfortunately, it put me overseas for another day or two because I'm behind the international date line, and so we were actually leaving in the future, and now it put me back way too late. So as a result, and then to make matters worse, I got home almost a full day and a half late, and I land in Dallas because that's where the flight ends, and I hopped on a flight to come back to Phoenix. And we got all the way to El Paso, and Albuquerque Center caught fire. They vacated the whole building, shut down the entire air traffic control system.
What?
We had to turn around and go all the way back to Dallas.
What?
So it was not my day.
Dude, now that I don't understand because, I mean, for the most part, they already got you halfway there, and then all of a sudden, you're up at altitude.
Or something.
Pretty much you're separated. Odds are you aren't going to smack into each other.
I know what you're saying.
Picked up by somebody else by the time you get there. I don't get it.
Well, so the sector, Albuquerque Center, is fairly large. It actually covers from about El Paso, Texas, all the way to Los Angeles, basically. And Phoenix is obviously in the middle of that. And it covers up to almost to Salt Lake. So Albuquerque, when we got to that point, there was no one to hand us off to because their building had caught fire and they vacated the building. So when the controller was trying to get in touch with Albuquerque Center, there's nobody there, and he doesn't have the authority to just release me into space that's not covered. So I wasn't flying the airplane, but I was, with the guys. And so then we didn't have enough fuel to hold, which is what they would have normally done. We were VFR, it was clearing 1 million. So we had to turn around to Dallas, go get gas. And then they finally got the solution. And so we got to Phoenix, 2 or 3 hours late. So
how many evil stares did you get when people were getting off the plane? Like you caused it.
No, I think everybody understood. It was, it's one of those things. It had nothing to do with us. It was the fire on the ground.
Well, I know that, and you know that, but not everybody in the back knows that.
Angry
Karen.
Well,
no, they made the announcement. The Karen. They made the announcement. So everybody, I was actually in the back. So when they made the announcement, I kind of understood what was going on. I will tell you that, I was in my uniform attire, so everybody kind of looked at me like, "What's going on?" And I was able to kind of explain what was happening. So a lot of people, if they had questions, the flight attendants were like, they came to me and they go, "What's going on?"
We're going down.
What you just heard was code. There's a terrorist on the plane.
That's code for we're going down.
Now, don't say that. No. So anyway, that took me out of our normal recording. I was supposed to be back in time to record, and as a result, I was multiple days late. And the unfortunate thing about flying overseas and long haul flights like that is that if something goes wrong, it can lead to an extra 2 or 3 days, whatever goes on. So I kind of I was in the air and in the airport, and I couldn't tell Jay, "Hey, I'm not going to be there," until I actually got into a position where I had, wireless service and could do that. And then you were, AK Mike, you were up in Alaska, I think, for some of that time too, right?
I was.
So you were.
When I got back, I went on vacation.
Yeah, so he was gone, and I think Jay was looking at the calendar going, "Well, we're normally doing this," and when he got my email, I think he just was like, "Ooh." Well, the good news is, though, several people did step up and say, hey, they gave us permission to give them a call on 2 minutes' notice and say, hey, you're going to be on the podcast. Put your hat on and get out of bed. Put your clothes on. Get some pants
Yeah,
on.
I know it's 2 a.m. That's not the problem.
I know it's 2 a.m. in New York, Steve.
And you
but
have little children
on.
and stuff. That shouldn't matter.
Right, Nick. Well, we do appreciate everyone stepping up, and our Facebook page got a bunch of positive. Hey, look, if you have a solo, Philip and the rest of those guys, they all reached out to us and said they were willing to help. So we're interested in that, and we've got you on the list here. I got you kind of written down, and we are excited to try and get you guys out and hear what you have to say as well. We appreciate you calling our number at 830-444-4943. Reach out to our sponsors, and yeah, we'll try to get you guys on the show. We're rolling into the last part of this year, which is pretty phenomenal. I'm ready for the whole year to be over.
I may be making a big assumption here, but I feel like, with these guys offering their time up and whatnot, that maybe I'm too boring or something.
Maybe you're too boring? I don't know. Maybe they just have more to say about RC stuff. You never know.
That's probably
I will tell you, though, that, we talk about our RC adventures, right? That's what we're supposed to be talking about, and topics or whatever that come up. But they have RC adventures too. I mean, think about it. We talked about Philip doing his little thing on his video, but we should have him on, and he could tell us his own story. But same with Nick and Steve, and a couple of the other guys that have reached out to us. So. We'll even get Susie on, actually. She can tell us about her auto options for the warranty. Maybe there's a listener out there that wants to listen to Susie talk about warranties. So anyway, brings us to today's topic, actually. Today's topic is kind of based around Mike, and I know we had this conversation a few years ago when Jake kind of moved into his new place. But Mike has moved into a new home in Dallas. Congratulations.
Yay.
Yeah, thanks. That's great.
Yeah, and now that he's there, he's interested in basically kind of putting your hobby room together, right?
Yeah, I mean, I got about 10 by 13 room, and right now it just has piles of stuff in it because I haven't organized it yet. But I started thinking about that recently, and I was like, you know what? I should just do this right and make it really usable for what I want to do with the hobby, being able to store the planes, I'd like to have in a way, make it a man cave, even though I'm the only one who lives here. But, make it a man cave and just work. Because I like to watch TV while I'm working on my plane sometimes, or just have something in the background going on. Or sometimes, we've done at Jay's house, we'll watch a YouTube while we're working on something of what we're working on. So we have instructions and information about what we're doing. So, yeah, that's something I'm really looking forward to getting done.
So, first question is first, do you have a ceiling fan in that room?
I do.
Okay, so hanging stuff from the ceiling is probably not an option?
If you could, but it'd have to be the corners only. It's right, right smack dab in the middle. And so three corners.
Well, what I'm saying is that if you're hanging, you couldn't hang RC airplanes that were, now they're going to be moving around with a fan.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's true. They would be,
yeah. Well, because, I know people that use their basements or spare rooms or garages or whatever, they hang stuff from the ceiling, it gets them up off the ground. And, I've been to several locations where I think Jeff actually had a bunch of stuff hanging from his ceiling as well. You make a little strap, put a couple of eye bolts in there, and then you just kind of set the airplane in these little straps and it stays. But if you have a, fan swinging around in there, it's probably not going to be conducive to having those things hanging, in the breeze. So that means that we have to come up with some other idea, as far as how to store the airplanes, or at least have them, which brings us to Jay. He's pointing over his shoulder there. He's got some PVC racks. I think when we did Jay's episode where we talked about building those the PVC racks, there were several people that actually sent photos of their design, and some of them were stackable, where they were vertical like Jay's, and some were horizontal where they could put airplanes in them, facing like in your dishwasher when you put the plates all together. They kind of sat like that.
Nose down or something?
Yeah, just nose down with the wings. Some of the guys had the wings removed and put them long ways, so they sat like Jay has his little Cherokee back there that's kind of sitting there right over your shoulder. Right. So he has, kind of like that. So those are all options. And then I think you mentioned also that you wanted some sort of a workspace, right? That you wanted a table or something.
Yeah. Yep. Something to work on, stuff like right now, I have a desk space where I do my soldering and stuff, and that's just a little table, but I think I wanted something maybe in the middle of the room to lay out a plane I'm working on or whatever, that's
kind of like an island
at a reasonable height, and just work it from there.
So something like a little island.
Yeah, exactly. And I can see, you have an island, and you can put drawers in there, and they stick, that's where the stuff would be stored that you're working on or whatever. And then maybe even with wheels, so that you could roll it out of the way if you wanted to do, for whatever reason you needed to roll it out of the way for. So, I mean, those are all great ideas. And in this room, it seems like the middle of the room wouldn't get used properly if you didn't have something like that. I mean, you kind of need something like that in order for this room to be effective. It's not huge, but it's not so small that you're jammed up against all the walls, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. I mean,
if I just had, I had tables all the way around all my walls, I'd still have a pretty good space in the middle.
So that's an option too for you to put, to put it around there, right? So.
Yeah, if I took the table I have now in the middle, or one that was probably twice as big, that would probably take up it almost could be 4 of the tables I have. They're just small 3-foot or 2 foot by 6 foot or 2 foot by 4 foot tables. So if I had 4 of those, that would probably fit in the middle of the room. Not that I'd put 4 together, but I mean just from a measurement standpoint. So
I was looking online. And I found something from IKEA, and it's a little table. I think I sent it to you guys, and it actually folds up.
Yeah, that was cool.
Did you? It actually unfolds and folds, and it's really narrow, but they call it criminy. Jay, do you have it right up off the top of your head there?
Sorry.
It's a something leg. Oh, anyway, it's the legs move out, and it supports the table. And anyway, it's an IKEA product.
Gateleg.
That's it.
Gateleg.
Yeah, the gate leg. And so the gate legs will move out, and they will hold the table out. And that you can use it in the middle of your room, and then as you're working on it, and then you can put it away if you don't need that space anymore. And I really like that table. I also found a couple of I'll see if we can't post it up there. But I also found a couple of things that basically allowed you to build a table. So a lot of the table portions that people put online, and they gave already, some free designs and that kind of thing. So I know that you're probably not in a position to kind of, have a miter saw and start making all the, your own table kind of thing. But since we're on the topic, there are options for that. There are people out there that have put the tables together.
Well, and so my use for it would be typically, I can imagine, Jay being the person he is, shared with me a 3D printed CNC machine.
Oh, yeah.
And so the kind of things I would use it for would be to toss that CNC machine up on the tabletop to cut out foam parts for a plane I was making or whatever. Because that one that he was showing, although it could probably do other things as well, I would definitely use as similar to the one I had before. But, with the way that one's built, I could actually have different sized legs for whatever project I was using. So theoretically, I could do a bunch of different things with it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the one that I saw online was built, the guy actually built a space for his table saw. And so his table saw sat inside the table, so it became all one space. But if he needed the table saw, he just, and now it became like a full table saw. And
cool.
Then he had like 2 or 3 other little instruments that he would use, like a scroll saw and a drill press and stuff that were all exactly the height of the table. So there was a little shelf at the end, he would remove the one, put it underneath, and then put the next one up, and he would have something that he was able to do, to work on. And
that's cool.
We can.
I might do that for my
I think
garage.
we put that up there too, but it is it would be for a garage. It wouldn't be probably for a 10 by 13 room. But the big question is, if you had an island in the middle, then do you have enough room to have a table and the island that you could work between, or is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, depending on how big the island is. I mean, if we're talking about a kitchen-sized island, for sure. Because they're not very big. I mean, they're only usually a couple feet across, three maybe.
Right.
If it was 3 feet by 6 feet, I would still have plenty of room to walk around that island and have stuff,
So you can still have tables
the
against the wall, to
yeah.
to work.
I mean, it's what I say, 13 by 10,
10
and a half,
yeah.
10 and a half. Yeah, and so it's 10. It's 13 the long way. I mean, it's 13 toward the window, and so. The 10, like I said, if I only made it 3 or 4 feet wide, you'd have 3 or 4 feet on either side, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's plenty of room to do maybe store planes, like you said, horizontally instead of the way Jay has them, but up and down, nose down or whatever. Stacked against the wall, and then you just stack them out towards the middle of the room.
Yep, that'll work too.
So. I mean, those are all great ideas, and I like the stacking ideas that way. Now, when you do that, do you just set them on the nose, or do you set them on the wing? Are they stable on the wing?
They're stable on the wings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Does that cause any kind of long-term problem?
No, because you could pad pad that
foam
stuff. Where you could put the foam padding on it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I used to when I had my hangar, kind of at the other house that I was at, I would actually put turn the prop just right so that it anchored it, and then just lean it really carefully on its wingtip, and then up against the wall, and then I just put the next one right next to it, so it looked like they were all slotted together. Now
the bad, sort of at an angle. They're sort of
correct.
At an angle
they're
like
at
that.
about a 45-degree angle, and they're just kind of sitting. The bad news is that you can't leave them like that for long periods, or let the room get heated, because if it's putting a lot of pressure on that wingtip, if it's balsa wood, it's probably not that big of a deal. But if it's if it's EPP or EPO or whatever, then sometimes I'd pick my airplane up and the tip would be just bent where it had been sitting on it for more than than I wanted it to. So having said all that, like Jay said, you can take a little piece of foam. And I've done that before too. That little pink foam that we had talked about on one of the previous episodes, and you can just put a line in it. Just take a pen and make a line, and then that'll fit where the wingtip will sit right in it. And you can put that on not right on the wingtip or sitting in the wingtip, but maybe just a little before it, and it'll support it.
I'm not sure I understand about the whole line thing. What do you mean by that?
So it's let me. I don't have a. Do you have a piece of foam right there, Jay?
Stand by.
You've got sitting around. He's going to grab it, but what I'm talking about is just a little block. So if you just have a little block like that, and then all you have to do is put a crease. Just take somewhere in the middle. You can just take a crease in and make a little indention, so that it. Jay's going to demo it for us. He's going to take it there with a pen, and you just put a little, indent. A little indention right there on the part, right? But you're gonna make it the whole length of it though, like this. Like I would take my pen and go sideways, like you're gonna saw a little part. Yeah, Jay's drawing a line on it, and then you just kind of make a little indention in there, and then basically the wingtip will fit in there.
It's gonna fit right.
Does that make sense?
It's really not that thick, anyway. Is what you're saying.
Right. So for those of you that are on YouTube, you'll be able to see this. But if you're listening to the podcast, jump over to our YouTube channel and subscribe. You'll be able to see kind of what we're talking about. But you can see how thin this wing is right here, right?
Right.
It's not very thin.
Quarter inch.
So what I would do is I would take that block and you put it right here so that the block is holding this part and you're not leaning on this part. Does that make sense now?
A little higher.
A little higher right here. Okay, so if this is the flat part and you're sitting on the floor, this is putting pressure on that wingtip. See how it's bending?
Right.
But if you support this part of it right here, like this, then it's on this part, and so you basically have the block that's inside this little part, this little thin line, and then it just kind of sits on the block. So instead of being supported by the wing tip, it's being supported by the wing
leading wing.
Main.
The wing, not the
Leading
root,
edge.
but it's the edge, leading edge. Thank you, the leading edge. So, and then your propeller, you're just leaning it into an area where it's just kind of sitting at an angle like that.
Well, doesn't it weigh on the propeller a little bit too and warp that?
It doesn't really warp the propeller. This one has got the in my particular case, it's got the the propeller rubber
Prop
on
saver.
it. So the rubber the prop saver. The prop saver may break if it's being twisted. But normally, if you just kind of put the prop this way and lean it over, then there's support right there because that's sitting flat on the on the floor.
I see.
Now on these airplanes as well, the other thing that you can do, and I don't have, unfortunately, my wife got rid of all our wire hangers, but you can actually take a wire hanger. I have all plastic now, but wire hangers, and you can actually just take the whole hanger and make it a long area, bend it, and then put this on here like this. So you wrap the hanger around the prop,
And hang it from the
and
prop.
now you can hang it in the closet. So now it's hanging up in the closet.
That'd be too funny to walk in his house
this.
and see all planes
Yeah.
hanging, but that would work. That would work pretty good.
You know how they have those rolling hangers too. That would be kind of cool. Like just hang them on that, and then have it on the rolling thing as well.
Right, yeah. I actually have some of those in the other room. But my buddy
That's a
Jeff,
good idea.
he had one of those big hangers, and he had all of them hanging. So they were like, right up against each other, but they were all hanging off the floor. Now, the downside to that, unfortunately, is if the little prop saver rubber breaks, hits the ground tail first.
I
which
hate
is,
that. Yeah, I hate that.
Which is never a good thing.
It's not unlike how I'd fly it though.
No, that's true. So, and I will tell you also that my other friend Jim, he has a little workshop, and in all of his foam airplanes that are flat foamies like that, he will take a rubber band, a bigger rubber band. What do you call those, Jay? Number 2 or whatever, the big thick ones that go around the wings, from one to the other.
Right. I think number 6.
I think they call them number 6. Okay, so he's got a number 6 rubber band. He would loop it and then basically loop it around the motor itself so that it's sitting behind the motor and not hanging on the prop. And then he would hang that from his ceiling. So he had a little hook, a J hook, and then that rubber, so now he can actually tie off the rubber band because those things are stretched, quite a bit, and he can pull it down. All right, so it goes up to its shortest stretch, and when he needed to get it down from the ceiling, he would just grab the airplane, pull it down, right, and then undo the rubber band. So it was kind of cool that it was able to, it was kind of like one of those, I don't know what you call it, the springs or whatever, a little hose reel. It was kind of like that.
It'd be good to have like a little video of that if you had, just to see how he tied the rubber band and like just see that.
Yeah, it wasn't tied. He just looped it around there, but it just created.
I understand, but I mean, just see how he did it. It's good to.
I'll see if I can find something that I'd have to run. I think he's out of the country on a cruise or something, but. If I get a chance, I'll go up there and see if I can take a picture.
Hey, I'm just coming over here with my camera.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm in here to take some ideas. So,
this isn't weird or anything, but
no.
I'm just going to videotape this stuff.
That's hilarious. Well, we're excited that you're in your new place, and our listeners, when they hear this, are welcome to call our phone number at 830-444-4943 or jump on our Facebook listeners group. We are growing daily. I think pretty much every day I get at least 1 or 2 or 3 people that are joining the Parkflyer podcast listeners group on our Facebook. So, yeah, if you have suggestions for Mike or if you want to post a picture of what you have, your room looks like, we're always interested in it. We'll definitely help Mike set up his room as well. So, yeah, please reach out to us and give us a photo of what what you have or what you suggest.
This actually reminds me that I know we haven't talked about the details of it yet, but I just kind of want to put it out there, this idea that we're going to have some kind of a contest coming.
That's true. We are.
We've talked about it before, but now we are a lot closer.
We are a lot
about
closer.
Having something that could work.
Thanks to you.
So What's that?
Thanks to you.
Oh,
Thanks to you.
Well, no, I mean, I'm not looking for any kind of praise here. It's really more about, it's about time we put a contest together. We're looking for ideas too. I mean, we have our own ideas, and I'm sure they're the best. But in case somebody else has better ideas, they should tell us what kind of contest they might think is interesting. And I'm certainly open to better ideas than whatever I might have put out there.
So just to let our listeners know, Mike in his travels to Alaska ran into a mutual friend who decided that, he wanted to help the Parkflyer podcast group out and donated some airframes for giveaway. And,
we love you, Jeff.
Yay, Jeff.
We do, Jeff. We know he's a listener, and we love him. And so anyway, we talked about it, and we thought, hey, this is a good opportunity to go ahead and kind of reach out to our listeners. So we're going to we got a pretty good idea of what's coming, and we don't want to kind of keep it under our hats, but I think that we're looking for a contest where the winner will receive an airframe. And we've also had, some outreach from our sponsors that said they would like to help out as well. So you might get an airframe and a battery and, our airplane of plans or something like that. So we're trying to put something together, and we've been brainstorming on it for about a month or two, trying to figure out how to increase our listening base and get you guys involved. So if you have an idea of what kind of contest, and it can be anything, we're open to all ideas, give us a shout and, let us know. You can email us at theparkflyerpodcast@gmail.com. All three of us get that email, so we can all, respond. Or you can call us on our phone number again at 830-444-4943, or jump on our listeners page and, give us an idea there as well.
But the plane that we're going to use is super secret. So for $20, I'll let people know. Other than that.
That's pretty good.
Speaking of $20, if you really would like to help us out, and, we're constantly looking for ways to improve our show, and it does have a little bit of a monetary cost to it. So if you want to help us out, you can donate to the Parkflyer Podcast. Parkflyer Podcast, if you go to our website, there is a donate button. So if you just click on it, it'll take you to a PayPal page, and you can just, whatever you think is necessary, it'll go into the coffers, and we can pay for the, sessions and the recordings and that kind of thing too. So we appreciate anybody that and everybody that has contributed and will continue to contribute. Anyway, how was your trip, by the way?
To Alaska?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was a real surprise, but it was cold there.
Was it?
What?
Yeah.
You've already acclimated.
Degrees.
You've already acclimated to the Texas weather, haven't you?
Oh yeah, it was 50 degrees. I was like, man, I should have brought more clothes.
Did not prepare. Unfortunately, in my job, that happens to me a lot, because one day I'll be in Madrid, Spain, and the next day in North Korea or in South Korea.
I sure hope you're not in North Korea.
Yeah, I'm not in North Korea, but South Korea, and one in Beijing or wherever. And there's differences. It's on two sides of the world, and one side will be hot. I went to Hawaii and had shorts and a T-shirt, wound up in Korea and went, oh my gosh, it's cold here. It wasn't cold, but I was lucky that I could still wear, shorts and T-shirts. Colder. But so anyway, it was, I understand what you're saying. You don't think about it. Then when you get there, you're like, should have packed longer underwear.
Well, plus we were having a little bit of a heat wave too, right?
Right. Well, and there, 50 degrees in September, that's pretty normal. It's totally expected. And I remember living there. I pretty much always had long johns on in September. Like, that's when I started wearing long johns.
Sure.
And long jeans. I almost never wore shorts in Alaska. Almost never. I think maybe twice in my entire 27 years there.
Yeah.
Did I wear shorts? And here I wear shorts all the time. I mean, I'm sorry, everyone, but I do.
Yeah.
You got to look at my pale legs. But
folks, to let you know, for all the time that I've known Mike when we were up in Alaska,
that's true.
I did not see him. Not to mention shorts. I did not see him in a short sleeve shirt.
That's correct.
Until he moved
to
Texas.
Correct.
And I was just looking at him because he was like walking around the house or doing whatever.
Jay.
And I'm like,
I didn't own any short sleeve shirts.
Yeah, and I just looked at him. I go, he's like, "What's up?" And I go, "Dude, I've never seen you in a short sleeve shirt before, ever."
What's that scar? What's that scar right there?
I'd never seen, never
You
mind
are human.
shorts. I'd never seen him in a short sleeve shirt. So that was just kind of a weird thing to see him walking around, just because quite literally, this guy wore. He's not kidding when he says he wore 50 degrees and he wore long underwear.
That's true.
He just was very cold blooded when he was up there.
Yeah. I mean, I wore 2 or 3 shirts all the time, and always a long sleeve shirt underneath, no matter what I was wearing on top. And
which was hilarious because coming from 115 degree heat up to Alaska, I was like, "Whoa, this is awesome!" I'm running around in flip flops, shorts, t-shirts. I was having a good old time. We in Arizona, we just went through 75 days of over 105 degrees, 105 degrees.
That must be a record.
Stupid.
I think it was. It was a record. Yeah. So, luckily, part of that I was out of the country, but at least for 5 or 6 days of it.
And Mike, what do you do when it's more than 100 degrees outside?
You work on airplanes inside.
Yeah, you go inside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you go inside.
That's what I did when it was too cold in Alaska. You just go inside.
Go inside.
That's what you do.
I will tell you that I did get to fly the other day. I came home from my trip, and a couple of the guys invited me out to the club, and I grabbed a bunch of batteries, and I probably flew, 30 times with my not 30 times, maybe 20 times. But we charged up the batteries, and we went out and chased each other around with the L-39, the little free-wing L-39. And while I was there, one of the other guys had the new L-39 from Global Jet Club. And the Global Jet Club has taken very similar, the foam version of the free wing, and they scaled it up about a couple of, I think the little ones are maybe 1/10th or 11th, and this one's more like a 1/8th or 1/9th maybe. And anyway, they scaled it up and dropped a turbine in it. So I actually got to fly the turbine version. And it flew just like it's a foam airplane. It flew just like the little free-wing L-39. I was very surprised.
That's just crazy to think, you take something, like you said, a turbine, spewing, fuel, jet, flames, the whole 9 yards there, and you stuck it in something that's foam base that, it abhors heat and sunlight.
How do they manage that part? Do they put fiberglass around that section of it, or what?
No, they actually put some heat reflective tape. I think it's a ceramic tape, maybe. And so anyway, the turbine itself only has heat coming out of the back of it, right? The air coming through the first part is, well, in Arizona it's hot, but normally it's cold air going into the front. That air gets compressed, and then when air gets compressed, it actually, loses heat. And so, actually it gains heat, and then they put it into the, like an expansion chamber that'll cause it to lose heat, or a heat exchanger. But in the turbine, they'll actually squeeze it, and then it has a certain temperature to it. Then they add fuel to it, and then the hot air comes out the back. So the exhaust tube, it does have a aluminum dual-walled exhaust tube that comes through the foam. So that dissipates heat as well. And then they have reflective, like I said, it's either ceramic or some sort of reflective tape that's on the inside of the foam. Now, I will tell you, if that tube broke loose and touched the foam, you would melt the foam. I mean, guys have done that. Or if your turbine shifted and pointed towards the foam, it's 800-degree heat coming out of the back of that thing. But with the bell mouth, which is this big piece of aluminum, it's like a big cone that sucks all the hot air and kind of focuses it into this little bitty tube. They do really well. The only thing I noticed about it that was a little bit different is that my L-39, my free-wing L-39, is set up to where it's a little more sporty. It's got a little bit faster roll rate, a little bit more elevator on it, and when you're flying the turbine, you're obviously going. I don't know if he was going twice as fast as us, but he could catch us and pass us. So full throttle on the two of us coming downhill, downwind. He could be behind us and hit the throttle and go zipping past us like we were just sitting still. So, when you're going that fast, I can understand that you want to dial your elevator and ailerons down. But for me, I was expecting it to roll real fast, and it didn't. And I think it was just his setup. So, but they were fun. Evidently, there's probably about 5 guys out of the club that have now purchased them. Jay and I.
Wait, what about fuel? Like, if you drop fuel on that foam, doesn't it melt it?
It's just diesel fuel, and I don't necessarily know that diesel fuel will melt it. It's painted. It's got a paint scheme on it, and I would probably suggest you don't put it on there, but don't leave it in there. But I don't. It's not like gasoline.
You were going to give me that suggestion after I did it.
Oh, well, that's what I normally do, right?
Mike. Mike, you shouldn't put fuel on a
don't
plane.
do that.
Oh, wow, I wish I'd known that.
Right,
exactly.
right. No, it's not like gasoline. Gasoline will actually melt foam, but the diesel doesn't. It's an oil-based, paraffin, or whatever they call it. I guess it's just oil-based. But it doesn't have the same properties as like gasoline.
Okay.
But that's an interesting question. I'll have to ask for sure. Most of the guys are really careful, because it's foam, and so if you dropped it or hit it or something, you can ding it. It leaves big dents in it. So it works just like our free wing products. The hanger rash, getting it back and forth. All you have to do is touch it, and now you just put a thumbprint in it or whatever. But the good news is that it's just like What's that?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. Was the good part about it is you can put your thumb through it or make touch it and leave marks, but the overall the key to it is that if you ding it, you crash a little bit, you do something to it. Hey, all you got to do is make a quick order, and you get a replacement part, and it's not $10,000 because it's handmade fiberglass, and you got to wait for somebody a month for somebody to make that part for you again. You can literally
6 months in his case. Yeah, he waited 6 months for a wing on one of his turbine jets.
Yeah.
So they have these. If you dinged up a wing, they just send you a new wing.
Right.
It's just a foam wing.
Or
if you
fix it,
you fix it. Right. I mean, as far as the fiberglass and carbon fiber work, something that's molded. It takes a little more talent to do that and a little more knowledge.
Right.
But for fixing foam, I mean, everybody's got foamy sitting in their house. You just kind of whip it together and, go from there. So, but I was really impressed with it. I like I said, I think more people have flown it, and it's a product that everybody's kind of jumping, into, because it's just one of those fun throw in the car and go fly. And to have a turbine that, normally, when you fly a turbine, especially the size that we fly, it's an all-day event, right? You come out early in the morning and you spend an hour putting the thing together, getting it fueled up, batteries charged, getting ready, testing it, making sure it's not going to fall apart because you got all this money tied into it. This thing, literally, it's like throwing a battery in. You throw some fuel in there. The fuel lasts about 4.5 minutes, so it's only about a minute longer than the L39s we fly anyway. Because my L39 on a 5,000 milliamp 6-cell battery only flies about 3.5 minutes, and he flew 4.5 minutes. So you only get, it's literally got a little 80 turbine in it. You could put a 60 turbine in it, and you might get an extra minute or two of flying out of it. You wouldn't get the same speed he's getting, but it was pretty amazing. And the reason is that everybody's grabbing these is ultimately the cost.
Right.
Because this is allowed, it's kind of one of those things, Jay and I have talked about it before, but the turbine world was one of those, those guys, right? Who can afford that kind of hobby? Because the amount of, Jay and I were looking at one, the guy had, once you got it, not only was it, somewhere north of $15,000 or $20,000, but you had to buy a trailer for it. There's another 10 or 15, and then you got to buy a truck to haul the trailer, and that's another 50 to 80.
It's
so
a lot like owning
by the time you got it, is your right, exactly, right. Your hobby just cost you $100,000, and then your house, you just mortgage your house to go pay for your hobby. So it was one of those things that the people in that kind of realm stayed in that kind of realm, and everybody else kind of did this, but. The invention of the foam and the combination of the foam turbine and this, injection molding that these guys have started doing has really come a long way, and has brought the cost of those. It's brought the cost of entry into the turbine world considerably lower. And matter of fact,
and the
you
turbines
guys
are
have heard
getting
us
smaller
talk about
too,
here.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the big thing.
And the turbines are smaller and a little bit, they're about the same as they have always been. There's more companies out there now, but just the ability to use these smaller turbines, and you guys have heard me mention, my buddy Harry from California before, and he really, last time he was here at the Winter Warbirds, he was talking about it, and he's like, I've never really owned a turbine, never really had a desire, but this is affordable, and I'm really excited because I think I'm going to go ahead and jump into this world. And so, sure enough, he did, and he called me actually when I was down at Jay's. We were in San Antonio picking up a bunch of really cool RC stuff from a guy, and then I got a phone call from him to tell me about his first flight on this thing, and he was really excited. So I'm pretty impressed, actually, honestly. And the L39 is not the only one that they have. They have the MB, what was it, the 338, MB 338. So now they have multiple L39 paint schemes, and now they have multiple MB 338 schemes as well. So, and I'm assuming mainly because when Jay and I were at the I can't remember where we were. One of the get-togethers, there was a guy that had. I don't think it was you. It was someone else. But we went, and the guy had converted all his free-wing models to turbines.
Oh, really?
So he had the F-18. Yeah, he had the F-18, the L-39, the 104, and one other that were all these really tiny, P-50s or 25s, and they were all turbines. It was awesome to see, that somebody would actually move into that. But, you're talking about a $300 airframe and a $1,300 motor, but, it's a good combination. It's protected. It's wrapped in foam. The good news is
whether you crash your fiberglass or you crash your foam, you're crashing. Those things don't crash easy, right? I mean,
yes and no. You're right. You will damage some stuff. I think in this particular environment, in the desert environment, crashing a foam airplane is probably going to render it no longer usable, or will require a lot of, detailed repair. I crashed my L-39. I recovered the majority of it. If that would have been my, if I'd had the same incident with a foam airplane, it probably would have wound up like Barry at the electric festival, where it just shredded right through the
where's Batty went to the next
and
county?
The only thing came out the other side was a battery. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So it's, I think if you were in a grass strip, and you were able to get it on the ground, that maybe you would come out better or worse. I don't know. But if you drilled it right into the ground, or if you did what they call a figure 9, which means you pull into a loop and you just continue around and just nose it into the ground at full speed, I don't think either one of those would survive. And your engine won't either. But, if you were lucky enough to get it stable and wings level and have the gear up, I think if you belly landed one on a grass strip, you could probably walk away with it. But I don't know. If anybody's had that opportunity, if anybody's done that, you can give us a call and let us know, or reach out to us.
Well, it's just crazy that they're able to put a turbine into a park flying aircraft.
So anyway, that was my flying. Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying for
honestly, I don't know if you could actually fly it in the park.
No, you can't. Because you'd fly too fast. What I'm saying is that we're still taking something that's technically, because I've seen where guys have put little turbines in a I'm going to forget the multiplex aircraft. It was a Speed Demon type of plane, and they put a turbine in that. And of course, the name's escaping me at this time. But they put one in there, and that's definitely a Parkflyer.
You mean it ESCing you?
Say that one more time.
You mean it ESC'd you?
What?
I said it ESC'd you.
You did.
It didn't escape you.
It.
It ESC'd
you. It escaped you. ESC. It was
You
a
said it
good joke,
escaped
Mike,
you. I
but
said,
you have
no,
to
it
explain
is.
it. So it's not
Sorry,
a good
guys,
joke
I missed
anymore.
that. There's a time lag between when
it's
you're
not a
saying
good
that.
joke
So,
anymore.
I'm like, what? Sitting here smiling.
Whatever. Jay totally blew it. See, his lips were flapping, so he missed it. But whatever. It's okay. All of our listeners got it. They're laughing.
Okay.
I hope. So, well, you are correct. I mean, it is amazing that that this whole technology has come this far, and I suspect it'll only get better. At least I'm hoping.
Well, sure, because I'm seeing that basically
you know.
it's going to take this market where you said was very exclusive, and now all of a sudden you've just kind of kicked open the door, and now you've allowed people to come in basically with such a low entry to low barrier to entry that it's going to swell, and then these guys are going to say, "Wow, look at I can make a profit. Look at all these guys coming in. They need parts, planes, small motors, etc., and then they can start making a profit, and therefore more people will jump, more companies will jump into the market, hopefully dropping the price, because now the biggest thing is not the aircraft, it's going to be the motor. So now all of a sudden they just like I said, if you have more competitors, the price of that stuff's going to come down, and hopefully you'll be able to get your turbine kit right out of the shop and go fly for less than $500. That's what I'm waiting for. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that sure would be nice.
Yeah. I don't know if that's going to happen.
Stop
your
spending
little turbine
money
may
on
be
your
electric, but that's
your 3D
about it.
printers.
Now, that's true too. Actually, I was just looking at some stuff, and I was actually pretty surprised at some of the stuff in both worlds that's happening with the 3D printers. So, I mean, kudos to those guys for putting that stuff together, and they're making all kinds of new stuff. I don't think they're going to make a turbine out of it or a motor or anything, but we're already making 3D printed airplanes, and they're making battery boxes and all kinds of stuff that, control surfaces. So it's pretty amazing how they're doing that. So, and I will tell you that there's new technology. CompArf, which is a company that, builds composite airplanes, and they have jets and 3D and scale type airplanes as well. And they just came out with their new airplane, and it's all bell cranks inside. So now they molded the airplane. It's all composite, but the composite now slides together. All of the servos for every control surface is inside the fuselage. You don't have any control surfaces out on the wing anymore.
Wow.
So they're all, now you can link them all together. And you've got a rod, basically, that goes like a normal, like my airplane, goes way out into the wings, and now the bell cranks actually move it. So a bell crank works a lot like a pulley, right? So now if you have a 1,100 inch or 1,100 ounce, what is it, ounce, inch,
yeah, we
ounce,
get what you're
whatever it is,
about.
If you got like 1,100 ounces to the inch, in now with that bell crank, like a big pulley system, you can double that.
Right.
So if you had 4, think about that. That's 2,000 to 4,000 ounces of torque on a control surface. So, that, and the good news is the rod can go all the way through, and now the rod, the two servos don't have to be synced on a control surface. They can be synced inside the airplane with they can be synced with an actual, arm.
Right.
Is this only on big planes, though, or are you talking about they're doing it on little planes, too?
Well, right now, obviously, because there's so much mechanics involved, it's on the 33 to 44% IMAC airplanes. And, those are fairly large. You're talking 106-inch wingspan kind of. But I suspect that, it's not long. When this technology comes out like that, people look at it and go, I wonder if I can miniaturize that. And, it won't be long before the warbirds start looking at it, and then, smaller. Having a little foam airplane like this, I don't really know if that's going to make a difference. Having a bell crank that weighs, 10 ounces on a 4-ounce airplane, kind of a moot point. But
if it was a 3D printed
but
one,
I think that
matter,
you might
right?
see it. Maybe so. I mean, it may be, and you could probably 3D print the actual, bell cranks as well. So it'll be interesting to see where that technology goes and how it,
Yeah, because it just also means you can use a lighter servo as well, right? Because now I don't need to have, even though a 9-gram servo doesn't seem to be much, but now all of a sudden I can use a 5-ounce servo or less, and still get the same amount of torque. That's incredible.
Right.
So
that would be pretty amazing.
Sounds
simple.
And
then now, instead of the torque being an issue, it's going to be the speed. How fast can I get this servo to actually move?
Right.
Because right now they've got servos out, that are down into the 0.6, 0.5, or 0.05, I guess. And, those things are like, you can barely see them. And they're like zip, 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 zip. You can almost fan yourself with it. But anyway, I'm excited. Like I said, the technology side of the RC world is always changing. It's always, getting better. And I think more and more technology comes out, then it just makes the hobby that much better. So I'm interested to, talk to the guys that are coming back from the NEAT fair and see what they say. And
what they've seen
out there and what the new technology is. Yeah, sure.
Well, plus it would be interesting to see just what they did for the show. I mean, COVID-wide, since everybody's still crazy, especially like in New York. Mm-hmm. That's why I was kind of surprised that they were still having the event. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's upstate, though.
I know, but, it's kind of like the epicenter of where things are going bad or being bad. So I'm wondering, it'd be interesting if we talk to him, what he's going to say, what they had to do or not do, or if it was no big deal. I suspect they were going to say, hey, it was outside, it's no big deal, is what I'm thinking he's going to end up saying. But, it'll give us a good idea of what we might have to deal with the upcoming year with the Electric Festival here in Arizona.
Yeah, very true. Well, hopefully this thing will wind down soon. And I saw a meme the other day. It was pretty funny. It's I think actually Harry put it out, which was hilarious. He said, "Hey, I just took the COVID. What do you call that? When they give you the shot, the
vaccination."
I have a brain hemorrhage. What do you call that?
Vaccination.
He said, I just took the COVID vaccination. They made it over in Russia. He goes, and I want you to know with the full, confidence that there are no side effects. And he goes into this Russian thing. And
Привет,
it's pretty funny.
Yes.
It was like all English, and then he starts speaking Russian. I was laughing. It was pretty funny. Anyway, I laughed at that, Harry. So I know he's a listener too. So
don't
before we go, I will. That's right. Don't try it at home. Before we go, I want to reach out to Big Mike as well, because Big Mike has been preparing, and he just sent me some stuff. He has now put lights and some moving map stuff and everything in the Cessna that we made.
Really?
So that he brought last year, that big 14-foot Cessna. Yeah. So now the inside has like a Garmin 1000, and the landing gear lights are working. So he's doing
that'll be interesting to talk to him about how you did that.
Overhaul on the cockpit portion. So it'll be a stream. Yeah. So it's kind of neat. He sent me some photos and a little video of it, and I was like, all right. But it had a big red light on the dash, and I told him, I said, a big red light on the dash to a pilot usually means things are going really bad. He said, oh, maybe I should change that to green. I said, yeah, give it a thought. So anyway, but yeah, I'm interested to see the final product of it. From what I've seen so far, it's coming along. So kudos to him for taking on that project. He did a good job. So we'll have to post some photos when he finally gets it done. Well, unfortunately, our hour is up. It kind of went by really quick with our trip schedules, and we appreciate Jay for doing the solo show. I thought it was funny with the crickets. That was awesome. I started laughing because I felt
I didn't
so
realize
bad
it sounded like that.
Because I didn't either. But I mean, I was out of the country when it came out. I was still over there, but it was hilarious. I was like, oh my gosh! I listened to it, and of course I got it. I was worried about it because I thought, oh man, he must not have done it, and then I realized that it was Tuesday for me, but only Monday for him. So
that's right.
I cut him some slack.
So I guess he didn't do one. Yeah, dude, what are you talking about? It's coming out tomorrow.
I know. I texted him. I was like, I guess we didn't do one. Because no, it's tomorrow. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It is tomorrow. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm calling you, or I'm touching base with you from the future.
Exactly.
So that's kind of weird. But, well, I guess our, time's up. Give us a call, 830-444-4943. Reach out to our sponsors at A Power Battery and 3D Aero Ventures. Tell them that the Parkflyer podcast guys sent you, and then give us a holler and let us know how you like them. Okay, we'll have to reach out to Bill, because I think he just got his A Power battery, so we'll have to give him a shout. So anyway, from let's see, Arizona, I'm Michael.
From the hills of Texas.
Jeez.
Jay from the hills of Texas. I'm losing my voice, folks. Save me, Mike.
This
Wow.
is AK Mike in Texas.
You got the COVID.
The COVID's got me.
All right, man. We'll see. I know. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Try to fly.
You have been listening to the Parkflyer podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to your next visit. Please give our show a star rating and review, and feel free to email us your questions, topics, or suggestions to parkflyerpodcast@gmail.com.